Hello, everybody. This is the eighth video of this series. What we have done is, I will just sum up everything in this video. The first seven videos are not to teach you, the first seven videos are just to make you conscious of the thinking capacity you have, and to make you feel guilty of not using them because most don't. How my understanding about this thinking game is what I have been covering in this. What I will do is, in this summing up, I will tell you how exactly this entire thing works on a day-to-day basis, to whom it is going to benefit, how is it going to benefit, how you should go around from now on if you want to do this exercise seriously, or are you okay with what you're doing? It's all up to you.
I think, sir, another really important point is that you have to decide for yourself whether this is beneficial for you or not. Uh, a lot of people are simply quite happy just leading lives the way they have been leading their lives. They don't want to be so dynamic and thinking about so many different things all the time, which is absolutely fine. The thing that we want to raise awareness about is that, have you even identified the fact that you're not utilizing or you're not thinking about so many different things? Whether you then exercise your choice to do and learn those skill sets or not is a totally different thing altogether. But the point is that most people aren't even aware of the fact that this is a way of thinking that they can learn, that can change their lives for in a lot of different ways.
I'll put it slightly differently. Yeah, I agree with Shubhankar, but I would like to put it differently. It's up to you to decide whether you want to be the cattle or whether you want to be the guard dog. You have to decide whether you want to be the lead or you want to be the leader. That desire has to come from within. No one
And
can make you a leader.
which an extension of that point basically is that there's nothing wrong in being the lead.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong in being an employee,
Status quoist.
as long as there's nothing wrong, as well as there's nothing great about being an employer or a startup owner. It's simply your personal choice and your ambitions.
Remember one thing, when we talk about being an entrepreneur, we are not talking about a owner only. If you are vice president of a company, or you are a manager, or you're a general manager, or you're an assistant manager, this entire thing is as much applicable to you, because this thinking will bring that efficiency level in you,
Yeah.
which you have never thought of.
Yeah.
Like Shubhankar says, there is absolutely nothing wrong in being employee.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong in being entrepreneur. When we are talking about entrepreneurship in this particular series, it is with one basic aim, that when we see 99% of the startups or these companies fail, and we want to put our experience to say that when we go and consult in each and every company and give them what exactly their state is and why that state is there are companies which have done 100% turnaround,
Yeah.
and there are companies which are very happy the way they were going on.
Yeah.
So this means even an entrepreneur was never ready to learn, and there were so many other people in the company who actually have gone and done wonderfully well in their jobs.
Absolutely. And speaking from my personal experience, just the fact that once you accept these things that we have been talking about in the last few videos, when it comes to thinking, simultaneity, sequential thinking, macro, micro, all of these things sound like theory up until the point that you start practicing them in daily life. So, like anything that you learn, like any skill that you learn, whether it's playing the guitar or whether it's playing football, it's going to be hard. It's going to be very, very tough to start implementing these things. It's going to be very uncomfortable because that sort of mental exercise is not something that we are used to throughout our lives. So, just doing that though is going to be very uncomfortable at the start. But I promise you, Once you do it, and once you understand it, and it gets ingrained in you to a certain degree, it becomes like breathing. It just becomes so natural, and so it just rests in your subconscious the entire time. And you just think that way, whether it's your professional life, whether it's your personal life. And there are so many times where it has spilled over into my personal life, where talking to a friend who's asking for career advice, or they're asking for life advice, whatever I do with Colonel Pandey in the company, what we do and how we discuss things, all of that just spills over there. And it's only after the conversation is over that I realize is something that I learned talking to you and working with you in the company, that is actually benefiting all of us so much in our personal lives now.
Yeah, so that's how it actually benefits. And remember one thing: anyone who thinks in a very logical manner, the macro to micro, sequential to this, and puts it on timeline, let me assure you one thing: the guy you find efficient, who you always have seen relaxing and not doing really much work, remember one thing: he works the maximum. He works the maximum. He is so efficient because he has managed all these things so well. He has spent his time thinking, which in turn has converted into actions, whether it is delegation of responsibility or whether his own working,
Yeah.
that he actually relaxes. There are times when I have been telling Shubhankar over last 3 years that I don't know, probably I put in not more than half an hour for the company work.
Yeah.
No, half an
and
hour
and there are the rest of us that are slaving away throughout the day.
throughout the day, and half an hour is the maximum that I work for the company.
Yeah, I used to think you say it in a mean way.
No, but
But you
no,
don't.
I don't mean it. I have never been mean in this.
Yeah.
The fact is that yeah, actually I don't work for more than half an hour every day, and the company works like an absolute Swiss watch, and everyone knows there is no confusion. Everyone relaxes. Everyone has their own Saturdays, Sundays. Everyone has their own peace time, and there is no work. There is no tension. There is absolutely no shouting. Nothing at all. Why does it happen? Because there's someone who is investing time in thinking, and thereafter in advance, and thereafter anticipating everything that is going to happen.
Yeah.
Suddenly nothing happens, out of the blue. There is nothing called crisis.
Yeah.
Nothing happens like that. So that's why this is how it benefits, whether it is my personal life, whether it is Shubhankar's personal life. After this video, what we'll be doing is there are certain case studies. We'll spend about 4 or 5 videos where we'll record case studies.
Yeah.
These would be Shubhankar's, his personal life. There may be something that he might want to tell you professional life. I would share certain case studies from my own experience of consulting, where I've actually gone to the companies and seen what exactly they have been doing, and share that with you,
Yeah.
only to give you that sort of a exposure of how just this one human mind is able to become Ratan Tata, become Azim Premji, and also about those another million companies which have failed. We have nearly finished everything. We have told you why exactly. Remember one thing: the weakest ability of a man or a person, or not a man, a person, is to think. Fear of thinking. No, I don't want to think about day after kal ki kal dekhenge. We'll see tomorrow when it comes.
Yeah.
We'll cross the bridge when it comes.
That is the most common thing that people do.
That's what. What is it? It is defeatist. We are running away. We
Yeah.
do not want to spend our time thinking of anticipating what might happen.
Yeah.
So these are those very famous things. Okay, we'll cross the bridge when it comes. Why? Why can't you sit here and think about all the rivers that you or streams that you'll cross, where the bridges are there? Why can't you plan it today? It's going to save you so much. You can't be coming back from that distance back here just because you did not think when the time was.
Absolutely. Another common thing that is said along with this is that nobody thinks in that detail, nobody plans about their future in that detail, because you really don't know how these events are going to shape up. It's also uncertain. So, why expend our energy today thinking about it? But the fact is that even I realize this, that if you spend time thinking 100 different scenarios, there is a high chance that all of those scenarios will not come true.
Absolutely.
But because you have spent time thinking, the 101st scenario that happens, you will be able to come up with a plan for it quicker. Then
That much more easier.
it's that much more easier.
Easier.
Yeah.
And what finally I come down to, if you think about these see these 8 videos, and you go to the latest MBA curriculum or the teaching that goes on in MBA schools, suddenly from nowhere, the world has discovered a new word called design thinking. Go into the curriculum of design thinking. These 8 videos, my life in thinking, Shubhankar's first-hand experience last 3 years, otherwise from last 8 years, we have been living and breathing design thinking every day.
Yeah.
It's only now someone thought about it and he says, okay, let me write a curriculum for design thinking.
Yeah.
What are we doing? When we talk about art of lateral thinking, why do you have to get into these technical things? You think macro to micro, you think sequential to simultaneous, you put them on a timeline, and you've broken the box.
Yeah.
You're out of the box. And that is how I would conclude my part in these 8 videos. As far as the future videos are concerned, they will be focusing around the entrepreneurship, because our aim basically is to target every individual who wants to become one, who already is an entrepreneur, someone who is already running a successful company as per him. And let me tell you, revenues is what does not define how the company is. It doesn't define your internal processes, how you are actually managing your entire company, and what the knowledge of that man who is heading the company decides how the company is.
Yeah.
So it is not the bank balance, it is the smile on the face of that man who is on the floor that actually tells whether the boss thinks rightly or not.
Yeah.
So that is how we will go from ninth onwards, some case studies. And thereafter, we will make videos for the micro aspects of every company in such a way that each video becomes a standalone video.
Right.
Yeah, that should be possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I've finished. Shubhankar, anything that you want to say before we finally say bye?
No, so yeah, basically that was the broad structure. We'll be bringing out videos that actually give you the brass tacks as to how to run a company, how to become an entrepreneur. There's one last thing that I wanted to leave you all with before we end this video. It's a very small actionable thing that all of you can do to learn how to think. Because believe me, I was in your position. If you are wanting to learn this, I was in your position not too long ago, around a year and a half back, 2 years back. Colonel Pandey just said to me, listen, you've learned all the skill sets that I wanted to teach you in the company, but what you have not done yet is contributed very positively in terms of thinking. Is
I
the
still
state.
remember that conversation we both had. I still remember that.
And this came at the worst time, because this was right at the time that we were in a lockdown. When COVID had hit us, I was staying alone for the first time in my life. And that was a 85-day period which I practically spent completely alone, cut off from everyone, where he just introduced this topic to me, and he said that you need to start thinking, you need to become very dynamic in as a thinker. And from that day onwards, the only thing that I did was I would get up in the morning at 4:35 a.m. I wouldn't do any work. In fact, my output in that period reduced drastically. But the only thing I did was I would get up, make myself a cup of tea, and go and sit in the balcony. And I would look at the birds, I would look at people walking by, I would watch the trees, and wherever my mind ran, I would think. Over time, I came to a way of thinking by discussing with him, by talking to him. Over time, because I consciously set aside time for thinking about my day, about my work, my personal life, anything and everything I would think about. But what I don't want to give you is a way of thinking that this is how you think. We have discussed that in quite detail. What I simply want to say is that just take out half an hour, take out 1 hour to inculcate this practice of thinking. Today, having been doing it for around a year and a half now, For me personally, it's come to a point where I don't need to set aside time. It just happens that I'll be doing some work, or I'll be just laying in bed, and the mind keeps on running, the mind keeps on functioning.
I remember a year and a half back, Shubhankar practically had learnt every vertical that we have. R&D, sourcing, sales, marketing, BD, IT support, HR, you name a thing, licensing, uh, finances, not in detail, but yes, practically everything that is required to run a company, he had mastered that. And that is the day I told him that from my side, I said, you're clear to everything. I said, and you have achieved 10% of what an entrepreneur has. He was actually thinking that I'll say you have learned 90%. I said, you've learned 10. He said, what is that balance 90? I said, thinking. I said, you haven't spent any time. You do not think. I said, that is 90% of what you have to. And that's what he's talking about. His experience of last 1.5 years when we put him in that. More of it later. And thanks a lot. See you in the next video, the ninth video. Thank you so much.